Let's get started, I guess. We can start off with the news. Jacob,
Okay.
you want to do the news?
Okay, I'll do the news. So there's been a government organization, not sure which one, but I'll find out in a few seconds. But yeah, it's the Army. They are making some nifty 3D models of. This isn't doing what I want it to do. This is not the article I was looking for. Here, I'm gonna start over.
These are not the articles.
Okay. Yeah. Army photography technique makes 3D aerial maps in minutes. Using, I guess that's a drone, looks like. And this is what it makes. It does that just like from the aerial photos. And it looks like, not totally sure, but it looks like it's like got a color key for the elevation.
Yeah, that looks really nice.
So yeah,
That's sweet.
pretty nifty, if I do say so myself. And let's see. There's an app for finding new antibiotics. Apparently, I don't know if it's like just for scientists or if it's like crowdsourcing research or what, but it's pretty cool. I thought this was very cool. The headline kind of says it all, but I just thought this was a very clever use of the whole like location tracking on smartphones just to like kind of model the flow of a population during a disease outbreak and predict where it's going to spread.
Yeah.
Another top 10 list of tech skills. This one is made by a recruiting firm. It's like Python is at the top, followed by React, Angular, a lot of JavaScript stuff. Machine learning, number 4. Docker.
Oh, Docker is really cool.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Tell me about Docker.
So Docker, it's basically a way to set up an environment. So when you have a project with 1 billion dependencies,
Right.
you can set up, essentially it's kind of like a script. And what it does is when you run something on a server, it'll look at your script and it'll, a lot of times you start off with like a clean like Ubuntu install.
Yeah.
And then you write all the code to install all your dependencies.
Huh.
And so basically, every server can just read your Docker file and load up the environment and all your dependencies and then run your code, and it's exactly how it is on here.
So it's kind of like the requirements file in a Python type thing.
Yeah, and it's really useful in like science. If I want reproducible code, I can upload my entire environment in a Docker. And then every other computer that runs my code on the same Docker file will get the exact results all the time.
Nice.
They set it up correct.
Cool.
Very cool.
Got Django, it's a Python web app framework. CompTIA. Don't know what that is. Amazon Web Services.
Oh yeah.
Deep learning and React Natives. React
Deep
showed up.
learning separate from machine learning?
Yeah, it's kind of like there's some duplicates here. Like there's machine learning and deep learning. There's React and React Native. So
I mean, deep learning is just a subset of machine learning.
yeah.
Just that shows the confusion in buzzwords.
Yeah, that'll happen. Oh yeah, they got Linux running 148.6 petaflops on a super machine. Yeah. Go Linux. I think it was the last line. All have one thing in common. They all run on Linux. So should make Linux fans happy. Material 3D printing. The future is now.
Is this the meat one?
I'm sure you could put a meat nozzle in like have one of the nozzles with soy protein or whatever it was they used to construct the meat. But yeah, it's different nozzles for different materials. I think it said something about them being able to switch quickly. Yeah, it can switch between inks 50 times a second. So, yeah, there's one building that array of Lego clad things. Yeah, ooh.
So that can be really nice, especially if you have two materials one for structural use, which is usually a more expensive material, and then one for the details.
Yeah, or if like you're building like a device, like I don't know, an iPhone or something that like has plastic components and aluminum components and copper components or something like that, you can just like use different nozzles to print them all on the one device. Pretty cool. Well, this is kind of a duplicate story. High demand for Python and Amazon Web Service skills. It's a different outlet reporting it. And this is one. I think you posted this,
Yeah.
Joey.
Yeah, these were from Monday, I think.
Yeah, I think it's dark patterns. Yeah, it calls them dark patterns. Basically, like the deceptive UI designs to get you to buy things you don't want to buy.
Yeah.
It's all over the place, so watch what you're doing. It's a crazy internet out there. And now, see what this one. Ooh, meme accessibility. Meme example. Oh, alt text. Toddler clenching fist in front of a smug face. Overlaid text on top. Nice.
Turns, memes, and
So you get
text.
like alt text. I mean, I think that's kind of already considered to be best practice when you're putting an image on the internet. There's like a little field you add in the HTML for alt text. And it's like the text that gets read on like a text-to-speech reader that's reading the website. But it's pretty cool that they're doing it for memes.
It's not gonna make a super professional website. There's a bunch of profanities and alt text everywhere. No, whatever. No.
A deep,
Page doesn't work, right?
a deep fried image of Lord Farquaad with the letter E.
Yeah.
Render of the PlayStation 1 model of Hagrid.
So I think that's the news. So I guess we're gonna talk about SQL or what's next?
Take it away, Jared. Started putting a disclaimer in our videos that says the views of the people in this video do not reflect UPRC, the University of Toledo, Lorain County Community College, or the Association for Computing Machinery, or anybody else for that matter.
Pretty much, because I'm gonna be going into SQL injections a little bit as well.
Yes. That's the only sequel I need.
Bobby Tables. All right, so if you guys do want to follow along, I uploaded the PowerPoints into the Discord. If you guys wanted to follow along with that, but yeah, today we're going to be talking about SQL. So we're going to talk. Yeah. Today we're just going to be talking about just a couple topics, just like some of the basics. Just what is it? Creating queries, how databases work, just general things. I think the overall goal of this was just for people who are going in the co-op, because this is something that I've done on both the co-ops I've went on. It's definitely a very important skill, I would say. So what is SQL? So I think maybe pull this off definition of Wikipedia. It describes it as a domain-specific language designed to primarily manage data in a relational database management system. So basically, it's just a language that you use to interact with databases. It was standardized. It was created in like the early 1970s by IBM researchers, and in 1986, it was actually standardized by ANSI and ISO. And I was going to go through just a little bit of a demo just to show what you can do with it.
You're going to inject into the W.
Yes, we are going to hack it. Pretty much what we can do. Yeah, where it is. Oh, the database is. I'm not able to see it because it's blocked by internet for some reason. There we go. But yeah, it just creates a database for us, so we can run against it. So this team would select asterisks from customers. If we run it, we're going to get all of our data that is in the customers table. For some reason I can't. Oh, there we go. It's just all of our data in the table.
Are all variables in SQL convention in Pascal case?
I believe I've seen multiple different conventions used. I've seen Pascal case, like this uppercase. I've seen snake case,
Which one's snake case again?
or not snake case.
Oh, okay.
Not underscore. It's the one with the dash.
Oh, I don't know what that one's called.
I don't know what it's called, but it's like I know it's like used a lot in Python.
You mean where spaces are used, we use hyphens instead of underscores?
Yeah.
Oh god, it's an actual thing?
Yeah.
Kind of like a command line Excel.
What was that?
It kind of seems like a command line Excel. It's not a bad way of describing it, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of just like it's like working with Excel. You're defining in like if you're trying to get access a table in Excel, you want to filter things as well, and we can just say, what if we want all of our data with, what if we want to grab all the records that have the city of London?
What if you want to sort them all by contact name?
What was that?
What if you want to sort the results by contact name?
We can do that too. When running your query, you can also merge columns together, and that's a function called join. I didn't cover in this PowerPoints. I'm not super familiar with it. So we can do something like where city equals London. And then we essentially get all of our records with that all correspond to the city of London. That's pretty cool. So going back to here, I just want to touch on SQL dialects. Because even though SQL is the standardized sort of thing, there's still different versions of it that are created by different companies. So we pretty much have Microsoft SQL Server, which is the one of the easiest enterprise-grade implementations. It's one that I've used in both co-ops that I've been at. I feel like that's one that a lot of co-ops would get exposed to.
Is that part of the .NET framework?
Doesn't have to be, but
Yeah.
typically
Yeah.
You could say that it's the sequel to our coursework.
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah, typically, if you're with a company that's a Microsoft shop, they're doing web apps for the .NET application, they're probably using SQL Server.
To be fair, C# is one of the best languages to interact with SQL out here.
yeah,
And the framework.
and Link's pretty nice too.
Oh, okay, Link is amazing.
Yeah, Link is pretty good.
Mix it all together.
But yeah, I think Microsoft SQL Server is a very popular one. Oracle is not one that I've ever worked with. I just know that it's just this powerhouse. It's really expensive. Pretty crazy. MySQL is one that I've seen that's free and open source, and it's very easy to get started. I've seen a lot of people that like want to create their first database-driven application. Well, a lot of people will pick MySQL as their database implementation, and PostgreSQL is another open source implementation, but this one strives to be a lot closer to the SQL standard. Yeah.
So it's like how a lot of languages functionally depend upon C for basic core root, but how they operate under the hood is completely different from each other.
Yeah, like essentially in a way, I think the SQL standard is like this document that's like made by ISO, and it's like this, just like this huge document. You can go online and buy it for like almost $200.
Are there like minor syntax differences, a little bit different dialects?
Yeah, there's a lot of like little syntax differences. Usually they all share like the core functionality. They may have different features from each other, but yeah, syntax differences.
I think just to add, I think one of the biggest differences is your connection strings.
Oh yeah.
Like I've noticed, I haven't really used MySQL or the other one, but I've noticed that putting a connection string together for Oracle and for SQL Server, and then depending on what you're connecting with, that can be kind of challenging too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So now we're just gonna go through background, just like understanding what databases are before we get into the syntax of SQL. So database essentially is just an organized collection of data, generally stored and accessed from a computer system. So I'm sure a lot of us are all kind of familiar with that term. So SQL is actually based off the relational database model, which organizes data into tables of columns and rows with unique key identifying each row. And with these keys, we can actually form relationships with other tables. And we'll get into that. Primary key is basically one or more column that's it's that unique key that's identifying a row. So for usually standard in a lot of SQL tables, you would have an ID column that would just generate an incrementing number to uniquely identify each row.
So I'm hearing is it is possible to leave the keys on the table.
What's that?
So I'm hearing is it is possible to leave the keys on the table.
Why'd you leave the keys up on the table?
I'm sorry.
Why'd you leave the keys up on the table?
I'm sorry. I had to.
You wanted to. You wanted to.
I wanted to.
All right. Our foreign keys, that's where we can get into our relational sort of stuff, where that a foreign key is essentially a reference to the primary key of another table. And I actually have a little bit a diagram to kind of explain primary keys, foreign keys. So right here, for our top one, we got an example of just what a general table may look like in SQL.
So why are these passwords not hashed?
I felt like I just wanted to base it off Facebook's design principles. Facebook's design principles.
Facebook doesn't, they just store their plain text.
Wait,
That was a
what?
big thing. Facebook stored all their passwords in a plain text file. And they were like, well, nobody's gonna get to them, and then somebody finally got to them, and it was like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah, but just remember to store your passwords plain text. Don't actually do that.
Always hash your password.
Always,
Takes
yeah.
one line of code.
Always hash your passwords. So up there is
It's a function, hash, and then you put the string as the argument in the function, and then, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
When you check password, you just check the hash.
Yes. Make sure the hash matches.
so down here we've got pretty much a diagram that's showing us kind of like how tables can relate to each other. So this is where foreign keys and primary keys can come in. So we see that pretty much all these tables will have, almost all these tables have an ID column. And this would generally be its primary key. It's usually just like an incrementing value. And we can relate to other tables with foreign keys. So for instance, we have this products table that probably lists out different products that a store can sell. So we have its ID and its merchant ID, which is essentially the foreign key to the merchants table. And so this merchant ID would just contain the value of ID here. So if we wanted to, so if we're looking at our products table and we wanted to see, okay, what merchant is here, we'd see this, we'd get our merchant ID, we'd go over to the merchants table, and we'd find the corresponding merchant name with its ID.
So essentially, it's kind of like a reference pointer, but it's all just numbers and for ID numbers.
Yeah.
Sounds a little fragile.
What was that?
It sounds like it can be kind of fragile.
What is that?
What do you mean?
All these dependencies everywhere, meaning if one part of the table falls apart, it's really hard to keep up where it fell apart.
Those don't really fall apart, though.
Yeah, you don't really have a falling apart issue, and you don't really necessarily debug your table. Sometimes you can have issues like if you wanted to remove a table that where another table had foreign keys referring to it or something like that, you can get into some design problems, but you don't really ever have an issue where like your SQL database like crashes and you have to debug it kind of thing, you know?
So now we're going to get into CRUD operations. CRUD's just an acronym, general acronym that is just create, read, update, delete. It refers to four operations of persistent storage, whether that be databases or whatever it is. And these are implemented in SQL using these four statements: insert into, select, update, and delete. And we're going to get into those statements and yeah. So for SQL insert into, we're essentially just inserting new records into our database. Right here. So we have our table name, and then our columns that we want to assign values to. And these values are the values that we assign to these columns. So if I pull off that SQL editor here, what we can do is,
Commands and keywords have to be uppercase.
what's that?
Commands and keywords have to be uppercase.
I think it can be lowercase.
Yeah, I've done them lowercase before.
I think they can,
Convention to do them uppercase. There might be like some implementations that require you to do it uppercase, but I think it's mostly just convention.
I think it's convention specifically because of the fact you're dealing with all just plain text. And,
Right.
especially if you're not in an IDE that, previously when you were doing this, in its inception, you didn't have an IDE that was really nice about coloring all of your, code. It was probably very hard to tell what you were doing.
Distinguish between what's command and what's data.
I guess the word plain text was not the right word to use, because all code is plain text, but
Yeah.
the way you built this, you don't have like brackets or anything.
No curly braces, no indentation, no nothing.
right. What's a big customer? Which name the customer be? Joe?
So, do I have to put, so customer name, yeah, sure, go Joe. Contact name is Joey.
What's his address?
216. Do I have to put the whole address? J. Cox Road.
Whoa, are you doxing yourself?
No, of course not. I'm just trying to think of roads around me. City is Avon. Is it always single quotes, or do you,
I
is it
think-
kind of like Python where you can do both?
I think you can do both. It may depend on the implementation.
Postal code is 44010.
I like 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. There we go.
Now, the postal code is usually a number, though. So,
I believe,
oh.
at least in this
doing
table,
weird-
it's doing doing some
it's
string
got
stuff.
European postal codes, okay. Country is, Malaysia.
Is this how you s-
M-A-L-A-Y. So, Y before the S.
Alright.
So that's actually a good point. When you're storing values in your table, they're all gonna be plain text. And then depending on what you're reading them into, so if you're using C#, you might use something like Entity Framework, where you build those relationships from your database, and then in the code, when you build your objects from them, you would specify what it is, whether it's integer or string.
There's a new customer in town. Equals customer name.
So why do we have a customer name field in the field of customers? And a customer ID in the field of customers?
Customer ID in the field of customers. What do you mean by that? Like,
Like, why are our fields named customer ID, customer name?
Like instead of just ID.
instead of ID and name, you mean? I'm not sure. That's probably just whatever the person that created this database decided to name their rows.
So just typically in your database, no matter what the table, you're always just gonna have an ID column. Even if you never really use it, you're always gonna have that. Here it's called customer ID, but you'll always have a integer ID as your first
person with a, sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was just gonna say, is that probably just so when you have like, related tables, like you have like an ID number that like you can relate to other tables with the data input, data, you know what I mean?
Like if you had 12 different Joey Kilgores in the database, you'd have to distinguish.
Yeah, exactly.
But
It
in
distinguishes.
terms of purpose, but you may specifically, when you're writing your program, never necessarily refer to the ID, but you're always gonna have that column there.
Okay. Is it possible to have a password that's apostrophe space or space 1 equals 1? Apostrophe.
I think we're gonna get into that.
I think we are going to get into SQL injections. Oh man. Oh man. Oh man.
It just seems so simple.
So for SQL select, I've shown this before in the initial example. It's just selecting and returning data from the database. So the general format is select whatever columns you want from that table name. And if you just want to grab all column names, instead of typing out all of the individual column names, we can actually just replace that with an asterisk.
That's supposed to be a wild card?
What's that?
That's supposed to be just a wild card?
I think so. So we actually did a select statement here, where we just grab everything customers where the customer name is equal to Joe. And of course, if we omit this where clause, we're not gonna have any filters, and it's just gonna grab the entire customers table.
So when do you add a semicolon? Because I saw you add a semicolon on the next line.
Oh yeah.
Is it like in MATLAB where it's basically used for beauty?
What was that?
Is it like MATLAB where it's basically used for beauty statements? Or just separating statements?
I know it's some implementations do require you to have a semicolon, I believe. Some of them, someone's kind of like optional, and I think it's kind of like if you're writing out a SQL script and you have multiple statements in there, it can help separate them and choose which one to execute a lot easier.
SQL is white space blend, right?
White space blind, I believe.
Like if
So.
you were to separate the asterisk and the from in that statement above, with a new line, would it still run?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I'm not an expert at this, so but know some of the basics. So for SQL update, this will allow us to actually modify a row in any sort of table. So the syntax for here is update, select your table name, and then we'll set our columns to whatever values we want. And we use our where clause to actually select what rows we want to change. And this is kind of like one of those SQL statements that can be a little bit scary, because if you omit that where clause, it's going to update every single row in that table to what you specified that as. So
So what I'm hearing is constantly back up your tables.
constantly back up your tables, yes. And just always just have this like almost like second instinct when just like doing an update statement. It's
So a table of previous tables.
what was that?
So you're saying we should implement a table of previous tables.
Just back up your database.
That's what I mean, like, you might want to store some table. And so you'll have a table of previous tables of previous tables of previous tables.
That's annoying. Just back up your database.
Isn't that a backup in and of itself?
Just keep going, store somewhere else.
Oh man. Yeah. Right right now we're getting a little bit of the danger zone with SQL.
Sorry, am I getting really ahead of myself?
Oh no, you're good.
Copy your table, put pencil and paper.
Yes.
So you want me to put my table in the table?
Well,
Full circle.
Well, on my co-op, every time we ran something, we would just start the database over again. So I wrote a whole script that populates the whole database. It was like 400 lines of just inserts over and over.
Did you use
Whoa.
that for it?
That's kind of like in my work. We just finished up with this whole project, and we had like a migration script to migrate from our development server to production. It was like this huge, like 1,000-line SQL script that just populates the database.
That's horrifying.
Thank God for Devin Test, because I have screwed up many a tables.
Devin test?
Yeah. Or, I'm sorry, Devin Prod. Or Dev Test, Dev Prod, whatever.
Talking about the QA department?
No, I'm just talking about having multiple environments.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the test environment always runs backups of tables.
Set it up.
So that if you loop up your table, it's just revert it back.
so I noticed you didn't put a ID when you created the new customer.
Yeah.
Is that because it's automatically assigned when you create it? Because you can't know all of the IDs? You could, but you wouldn't.
Yeah, I believe
The customer ID is the unique key.
yeah, it's unique key that would just be generated.
I think like if you delete a customer and then make a new one, it won't reuse the old key. That can't just go forever because every customer should have a unique key.
Yeah, I believe so.
So if I were to have 50 customers or new customer 50 and I add a new one, the new customer will have customer ID of 51.
Yes.
Making sure.
There might be a way to change that. I'm not sure.
That does seem like it could hit some good old Y2K bugs in a pretty neat way.
If your table's that big, you should have a different table.
Tables that big, you just split into other tables and then store them inside the other tables. And then you send it to yourself.
Oh man.
With a camera.
Oh man.
Well, since you're storing your tables in your desk drawer, you're going to hire some scribe.
I'm probably
You're gonna do a
ruining
lot of
this-
scroll.
I'm probably ruining this stream. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're all good.
It's okay. If we get 50 views on this one, oh boy, am I gonna laugh.
Little bobby table.
All right. You want to change the entire customer database? All right. What do we want our customer name?
Alfred, space, pound,
Vendor.
and add customer ID. Wait. Vendor, but then after it, put a space, a pound, and then the customer ID.
Space pound. And then the customer ID. Just
The word
the
customer,
word customer ID or the number?
The actual value associated with that customer.
There is no, I don't think there's a customer that's named vendor.
But what I mean is like, for every
So
customer.
you have like vendor 51, vendor 52, vendor 53, et cetera.
I don't know.
But what I mean is, it would be vendor, space, pound, whatever the customer ID is for that particular customer.
Oh, like are you trying to insert like a parameter into there?
Yeah, so they're still not technically the same.
I don't think you can do that in just bare bones SQL. Vendor. What do we want our contact name to be?
What's John's middle name?
Franklin?
Yeah, Franklin's good contact name. I trust Franklin. Do you have to do all of them, or can I just do a couple of them?
You can just do a couple of them. So we can actually just run it right now.
Wait, you were gonna put in an address, weren't you?
What was that?
You were gonna put in an address, weren't you?
I was, but I was just going to show like that we can. We don't need to select. We don't need to change every column name. Rows affected 92.
And that's how you know you screwed up.
When you thought that you were changing one row, you changed 92.
So a side note on that previous part, so if you are doing an insertion into a table and you don't want to include all the values, it depends on how your table is configured because every column has an attribute called null or essentially a value whether it's null or not null. And if the value says, or if that attribute is set to not null, then that column cannot be set to null. So you wouldn't be able to do that insertion because you would need some value there. So for example, the ID column is always not null.
And I'm guessing it'll scream at you because you tried to do that.
Yeah, it'll tell you that you can't execute that statement. But see, in this case, actually, since there was already data at all those other columns, then it would just update those.
It's like that one day when everyone's MySpace name got changed to Tom. That didn't really happen, but it's just.
Yeah. What's up?
If I have a line ending in a string, does that string have to have a terminating apostrophe, or will it just terminate with the new line?
So do you mean?
You're like trying to put lines across.
Yeah. Like
So you mean like?
For instance, put an apostrophe opposite the first end of the first line.
The end of the first line.
You see how it doesn't change anything in the subsequent? Wait.
It did. It did.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, dang.
So what should we do so we don't ruin our whole table? We have to add a line at the end.
Do it like where.
Oh yeah, add the word clause. Just yes, and that would help. That would just go.
Start from customers where ID equals 4 or where name equals vendor or whatever your criteria are.
Yeah.
What you're trying to find.
Usually I just use the primary key just so I'll be sure that only that one row is going to be affected. Alright, SQL delete. So this one is where we're going to be deleting rows from the database, and if we don't include that where condition, it's going to wipe out all of the data in that table. So this one is one of those SQL statements that can get you fired.
Wait, SQL statements that can get you fired.
Don't delete the table.
Don't drop all the tables. It wouldn't necessarily delete the table itself. It would just delete all of our rows in that table.
Wait, so if you said delete from table name, it would delete everything in that table?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh my god.
To the customer database.
Are you running remove dash after
That's
that?
fine.
Let's remove root after this. How did, when you want to quit your job, delete drop tables, RM dash
You see how to quit your job. Get force push to master. Delete all the data. Delete the database.
Don't do that.
Don't actually do this.
Wait, hold on. Is that an actual meme floating around?
Get YOLO is the best.
Get your
Get YOLO is a force push to master.
Wait, was just with no message or?
You might as well put a message in there.
This is just add all push the master? Oh.
So
Okay.
you just typed in delete from customers, and we deleted the.
Get YOLO ignore, get ignore? I don't know. Force push whatever changes you've made to master. Okay.
I think it's like get commit all, get push to master. In one.
No such thing.
Oh wait, does it actually delete the table?
Deleted the table. Okay.
So I think, so if you revert this back and then do delete star from customer and see if that just deletes the things inside.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's,
Delete star. So that would be delete all rows from customer. Or all columns.
syntax here.
That's not how it works. Okay, I'll be honest, I've never tried to delete delete everything statement, so.
I'm gonna try and see if I can just like insert a new oh.
Nice.
Nice. I want to see if we can actually insert into customers. That work. Oh,
You now have the original table, but with only, I guess now two.
yeah. So yeah, I guess it,
Huh. So it didn't delete the table.
yeah, I just put in the customer name.
That might just be something weird with the website is doing it.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I don't, yeah. Never mind. I'm trying to think like, so I wonder what the statement is to just delete a table.
Oh, I think it's a drop table.
Oh, drop table.
Drop table name.
Okay.
And leave the table name for coding so you don't have to put in books.
What's that?
Oh, wait, you don't even have to have parameters. That's super scary.
Customers.
Oh, customers.
Oh, God. Wait, hold on. Drop table asterisk.
I believe that destroys everything. Nope. Ah, I think you can only
Drop
Can you
table.
do a for each loop?
drop table all.
Yeah.
Oh.
Drop all table. Is there a possible way to iterate through all tables in a database?
Iterate through, what do you mean by that? Like,
Like, you know how we have a for each loop for generic sets and collections in C#? Because it's iterable.
So like print all rows from all tables.
Essentially, yeah. No, actually, that's not just essentially.
I don't know how you would output that because all of them have different columns, so there's no like one cohesive thing to
Yeah.
look at.
unless you make like one massive join that would join all the tables together.
Or say you're trying to actually drop all the tables in the database individually.
So this
So you
says.
don't feel like writing it all out like a proper person who wants to get fired.
So this says if you want to use only one SQL query to delete all tables, you can use this. It's a hidden stored procedure in SQL Server and will be executed for each table in the database you're connected.
I'm sorry.
So, I don't know if this will work, but try all uppercase EXEC, so execute. That itself is scary. We're starting with execute.
All exec.
No, just exec.
Exec.
Like, this is a stored procedure, it's just a function that's stored in SQL.
Oh, all exec.
Like exactly.
No, just EXEC.
Oh, EXEC.
Yeah, no all.
Just EXEC semicolon.
Like that.
Yeah, so EXEC space, now this might be Microsoft specific, so I don't know if it's gonna work, but SP underscore, this is lowercase now. So this is the name of the stored procedure, underscore MS, actually M and S are both uppercase, sorry.
You're good.
Then for each table is
Like F space.
all one word, for each table. No, this part is lowercase,
Oh.
sorry. What? I know, this is just the name of the stored procedure.
And the thing.
For each table, space, at sign, lowercase command, all one word, after the at sign, and then one,
Space one or just
just connected, space equals space, and then in quotes, drop table question mark.
Like that?
Yeah.
I have no idea what I'm reading.
Please run it.
Oh.
Okay,
That's sad.
so how am I supposed to do a proper delete statement?
Proper delete statement.
Drop table question mark.
So we would just want to do kind of just like our update where we would want delete and always ensure that we have that where clause. And usually we want that where clause to correspond to primary key.
Is database a keyword?
I could be.
Cool. No.
Doesn't look like it.
I tried. I love how a lot of the community just evolved to me saying, hey, let's just destroy this online pre-prepared database.
That's a good point.
That's how you learn.
People are co-opting that influence.
What's pretty scary about how easy it is to totally destroy a database with just a few lines of SQL is when you start getting into like allowing users to provide input for the table, like enter username or enter password or something like that.
And then people
And
are
you're
really,
not careful about making sure that there's no SQL syntax in that string.
and then people will get very, wait, even if you surround it with parentheses or turn it into a variable, will it still cause SQL injection issues?
I think I'm not super. I'm paranoid about SQL injection, but I don't really know the best way to like live here to like parse your user input to make sure that it can happen. Like I imagine there are probably like programming libraries to like scour whatever strings are provided in order to make sure that it can destroy your database, but it is definitely something to be mindful of when you're working with SQL.
Honestly, the only thing I would change if I were to try to implement it myself is every time the customer inputs an apostrophe, I put it into the system as escape character apostrophe. So that's going to
Yeah.
recognize it not a syntactical apostrophe.
Yeah, that might be all you need to do. I mean, like, don't quote me on that, because I don't. Yeah,
But
I
does
don't
the
know.
SQL recognize escape character? Because if SQL doesn't have an escape character,
That's right,
that
SQL wasn't made for programmers.
I remember there was an article I read that mentioned escape characters. I didn't read too much into it. It's in this sort of guide on protecting against SQL injections. Oh yeah. So just gonna go just a quick little summary. I'm like writing SQL queries with all these sort of clauses, operators, keywords, just so you can get the data that you really want. We can just start messing around with that. We should probably restore our database. Maybe. So we can do something like customers ID equals yeah. Customer ID equals 1. And then we can actually connect this with and clauses by creating another condition for it. So we can just do something like city equals London. I don't think this will produce any results.
If you made it or, you'd probably get a ton of results.
Yes. Probably get customer ID of 1 and then every record with the City of London. And then we can do, and we can actually do order by. And that would tell us, what column do we want to sort our results by. So we can do something like order by address. I believe by default,
Yeah, automatically it just goes ascending.
on goes to ascending.
Does it go by ASCII ascending, or does it automatically assume uppercase starting character?
That I'm not sure about. And then you can either, for ascending, you can either just leave a blank ASC, or if you want order to be descending, type in DSC. It's in it's all filtered by our addresses here.
Honks, man.
It is stonks. Minute stonks.
It is really frustrating that some start with the address number and some start with street number. Which means we need to have, can we split a column in a table into two separate columns?
What was that?
Can we redefine a table to have different, say we remove address and we split instead into address number and address street?
Like destroy.
Like street and street number.
Oh, like so, like change up the columns, pretty much.
So for instance, customer ID 53 would have an address number 300 by an address street, South House, Queensbridge.
Can you break up the columns?
Yeah, I think there is a way that you can modify a table. You mean, pretty much.
But that's, I'm assuming, something you basically never do.
You would almost never do it, I assume.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yes.
Make sure you make it right the first time. You won't have to.
Yes. You know, I should have just done this presentation on the Google Sheets API. It works. It works for PyFarm.
Jared, what's the word for like when you're doing database design and you have like tables that are related to other tables through foreign keys and stuff? There's a word for that.
Relational?
Is it relate? I don't think it's relate. They are, but there's like some other word for that.
Oh man. Yeah. Just a few little tidbits on writing out some SQL queries. There's also select distinct. Actually, I need to look this one up. I don't remember how this one works.
That if there's like multiple, if like you have the same customer name a bunch of times?
Yeah, I believe it would like select the first instance of that. So yeah, you'd select distinct columns from table name. So what we would do is, so if we just wanted select distinct city. Oh yeah, customer ID was one. Did I? So now we would get a list of all of our cities, but notice how the ordering looks a little bit weird because we set it to order by address, even though that's not in the results. I think in the background it's still going to order data based on that address column. And then we can always just order descent again by city. That's just special character. Cool.
Sweet.
So now we're going to get some bit of an advanced topic. SQL injection. It's pretty much just common hacking technique where which SQL code can be injected into a SQL statement with web inputs. And that's usually done through text boxes. And actually have a demo that I can go through. And we're going to do some SQL injection. I'm gonna type.
Trust us with your money. Our website is totally secure and almost never hacked.
We're gonna hack it in a bank today, boys.
It should be noted for anybody watching this video that this
Oh.
is a fake application that's just for learning purposes. We're not actually doing anything malicious.
Yeah, thank you.
Disclaimer over.
Yeah, like seriously, if you ever come across a website that has this sort of vulnerability, do not do this.
This is
Ever.
illegal, you
Never.
I hate to say it because it's on a video.
Like, oh man.
We at the UPRC ACM, and probably also all ACM, do not endorse theft of any kind.
No, just keep going. There was enough disclaimer.
Yeah.
I'll put one in the
Yeah.
comments section.
So we're actually gonna try it.
Why is this website structured like a tutorial?
Because it is a tutorial. It's explaining SQL injection.
You need to learn.
You need to learn so you can secure your inputs. So we're just going to try and log in with this, but we know it's not going to work. So let's try a little thing to see if our password input is susceptible to SQL injection. So I go through an error, probably a 500 error.
An error that's very hard to read from really any angle.
Um,
Can you highlight the red portion?
yeah, I gotcha.
Thank you.
Pretty much, it's just saying that it's syntax error in the generated SQL.
This was the verbose error I've ever seen.
I guess if you're like building any kind of web app that like has these kind of credentials, like I imagine you should try to do this on your own app just to make sure that it's not vulnerable to it.
What do you mean, like?
Like just like try this kind of, if you're building an app and your app has a login screen, then you should like do this kind of thing to test it and make sure that it's not vulnerable to this kind of attack
Yeah.
as a security precaution.
If you're worried too, you can always do connect your app to like Facebook or Google. So you can sign in with like your Google account, and then you avoid that problem altogether. All the logins handled externally.
Insert one right here is your actual internet.
And now it's showing us the actual SQL that we use behind the scenes. So now we're going to see that we'll enter our password. We see what happens, what's happening here. This is obviously creating a syntax error in the SQL code. And of course, it's just creating an error. Yeah. And then, so now that we know that's throwing back an error, we know that could be vulnerable to SQL injection. So now we're going to be doing something that's very illegal.
Illegal ASCII.
Or 1 equals 1. So what we're doing here is we're ending that string, inserting a or statement with a statement that's always going to be true, 1 equals 1, and then after that we're commenting out the rest of the query. and with the logic in there, we're always going to be, that's always going to be true, and we'll be able to log in as that user. And you can see how terrible this is if you do not secure your inputs. Because we can, there's. Exactly. And with that vulnerability, they can do all sorts of things, not just get into your account. They can delete databases. They can extract data from the databases. You can get, that's sometimes how passwords will end up getting released.
That's why you hash your passwords.
And yeah, it's not a good thing.
Of course they're gonna sell you something. Yep.
So there's a lot of obvious risks with that, with SQL injection. We can easily extract sensitive information like social security numbers, credit card numbers, get login information, and then if hackers extract that login information, they can try and perform attacks on other sites with those same usernames and passwords, which is an important reason why you should be using different passwords on different sites.
Is there like a website for like a plain text Hall of Shame that like lists different websites that store their
It's, is it Have I Been Pwned?
Oh, that's a different one.
Or is that different? Yeah.
So yeah, have I been told like?
Yeah, you put in your email or your password and it checks if it's shown up on any of the major releases of.
Yeah. Few websites I use have been hacked.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's Have I Been Pwned
I
or.
think-
I think it might just be pwned.com.
I think it's
Have I been told?
have been pwned.
Yeah, and then you just enter your email address and see if like any of your accounts.
Put in
have been posted on the dark web or whatever.
.uprc.acm@gmail.com.
Oh no. Hey!
Good job, guys.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
Destroyed.
Change your check passwords, everyone.
Oh no.
Jared.
Why?
Oh, all I ever do is I never have a use.
I only used it before to rent textbooks.
Cool.
Boy, do I feel happy that I have used it.
Sunshine@gmail.com.
Sunshine Chap. Pwned. You might,
Websites.
you might scroll down and see what sites.
Go for it.
Roll 20, really?
Yeah, roll 20. Roll 20 got thrown.
2018. Huh.
Huh.
Okay, they have 4 million customers? That's pretty impressive.
Oh wow.
To be fair, bcrypt hashes aren't, like perfectly one-to-one. They're just basically one-to-one. They can't be back translated, can they?
What was that?
Can bcrypt hashes be back translated?
I'm not sure.
You can brute force them, depending on, that's why also why you use like long passwords, because they take like 10,000 years to brute force.
Uh-huh.
But
That's why I make my passwords basically sentences, but then I spam in like the occasional on character that
Yeah.
isn't a word, so I can't be snapped
Good
back
way
to
to-
attack.
Mm-hmm.
good way to do it.
Yeah.
Basically, be aware of dictionary text, be aware of stuff like that.
Yeah, sentences.
Yep. Use a password manager. These are pretty neat.
They're super cheap now, too.
Throw that horse assault battery.
Was
I-
that in a YouTube video?
I think that was an XKCE thing.
What's the soul of that about?
Something Horses salt battery.
What?
Password.
As a
Well,
password?
it's 4 uncommon words, and it makes it a really strong password.
Hmm.
If it's something like very vivid and memorable like that, then
And
you
it-
forget it.
Yeah, and it's memorable.
Okay.
Okay.
Alrighty. Yeah, like I said before,
Oh, it was,
don't do SQL injection attacks.
correct horse battery stable.
What was that?
It was correct horse battery stable.
Oh,
It was
gotcha.
the, one called password string.
Mm-hmm.
It was, XKCD 936.
Okay. So now we're gonna talk about how to protect against SQL injections. And there's a lot of different ways that are, these are just a couple of different ways that you can do. So you can implement parameterized statements with SQL drivers. You should include functionality to make sure that your parameters passed into SQL statements are safely handled. Or frameworks, object relational mapping frameworks. These will help you streamline the process of translating raw SQL into code objects, and in kind of in the back end, behind the scenes, they will make sure that that your table that your the SQL generated is not something that's easily that's compromisable. Some examples are SQL Alchemy, which is used in Python, and Hibernate in Java. And then just generally just sanitize your inputs. Just you can always just make checks to for any sort of suspicious patterns or any SQL statements in your passwords.
Run it through a server-side script in a non-SQL language to check for anything that could potentially compromise your database.
Mm-hmm. What's up?
What if we had a neural network designed to detect a SQL injection attack?
I don't think you really need anything
That's
that
overkill.
complicated.
It would also probably be less effective, because there's a chance, because neural networks work with a percentage of working. And so you can write straight rules that just do it.
Well, wasn't there one that was almost never run?
Almost.
Right, and I think that's pretty much that's pretty much it. I just have some links included. I uploaded these slides in our Discord server. If you just want to take a look at the links through this presentation, and that's about it. Thank you guys for your time.
Anybody have any questions?
Any questions?
About non-SQL databases like MongoDB and stuff like that, or do you know anything about? I don't know.
I'm not familiar with any either.
I think they usually do like JSON type stuff.
I do QA for a company, sorry, I do QA for a company with less than 10 people. Should I make sure about these sorts of things, like the sorts of things we've discussed? Like, should I actively bring this up even before he's brought up SQL to me?
Like
Because I haven't been able to see code.
like what do you mean? Like for any cases like SQL injection, you mean?
We do to keep it brief and sort of discrete web design. And we do have user credentials and logins. But I don't know how to bring it up without making it sound like I'm bossy. That's the main thing.
Mm-hmm. Like just
Well, you don't have to sound bossy. You can
Yeah,
just like bring it up, like, hey, are you guys checking for SQL injection?
Yeah,
Or just like ask like what kinds of protections you have in place.
Yeah, if you bring it up
Exactly.
like you're curious to learn what you currently use, you get to bring up the point that you make sure that security is there, while not sounding like, hey, do you guys actually have security?
Because the thing is,
Just like
So.
humbly inquiring
Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing is, I'm the only computer science major among the four.
Yeah.
The closest one is the owner, which is an EE.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's, like, not to say that EEs can't be great programmers, but just, I don't know what he knows. And likewise.
Sweet.
But yeah, I mean, like, if you just.
Thank you,
phrase
Jared.
it
That
like,
was awesome.
what
Thank you.
kind of procedures
Sweet.
you have in place to prevent, because you're
Just
asking
in
the
time.
question at the same time.